Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. There's a lot to do with this parable. This parable can be a little confusing sometimes. And I think at some point, just everything going through my mind this week, I'm going to have to sit down and break it down in summer series or something. But what I do want to do is I want to share with you 3 stories this morning. And I will try to keep them quick. The first story is about a man named Bill. Bill grew up as a farmer, was good with his hands, did everything around the farm himself, all of his repairs, his mechanical work. About 15 years or so ago, Bill was given the opportunity with his church to go on a mission trip to southern West Virginia. He found a new calling. He hasn't given up farming, but he now makes that trip every year, regardless as to whether or not his church goes. He goes down and he helps repair houses. He fixes furnaces. He repairs automobiles. Puts on new roofs. You name it, he does it. But one of the other things that he does is, as he goes out, as he leaves his home, he grabs $100 and puts it in his pocket. And he spends the whole week talking with people and listening to people. And at the end of the week, he finds one of the families that he or his group has worked with. And he takes that $100 and goes and buys them groceries. Fills their fridge. I had the opportunity to ask Bill what it was about this that he finds so much a part of his life. He said, "This is by far my favorite week of the year, because I have been gifted with the ability to use my hands and have made a living in doing so. And now I get the opportunity to go down to West Virginia and help those who do not have the ability to repair, the financial means to hire someone to do so." And it's just an added perk to see the smiles on the face of a family as I unload the groceries into their refrigerator. I do it because I'm thankful for what I have. On Sunday afternoon, Anne goes with her 2 kids, her husband, to a little restaurant, a little hole-in-the-wall diner. And one time Anne was sitting there and she notices an elderly gentleman sitting at the counter and remembers him from a week or 2 weeks ago, sitting there and watching as he finished his meal that time, take half of his sandwich and wrap it in a napkin, put it in his pocket, gets up, pays his bill, and leaves. And so Anne asks the waitress, "Do you know his story?" The man is a widower, has no kids around, lives on a fixed income. He comes in every Sunday after church, orders the same sandwich, and this is his splurge for the week. And as he finishes, he always takes half the sandwich home and saves it for another meal. So Anne asked the waitress, "Would you bring me his check? I would like to anonymously pay for his meal." And so she and her family, as they finish up, they go, she pays her bill, and the gentleman's bill. She walks out with a smile on her face. She gets out to the car, and her daughter asks her, "Mom, why did we pay for his meal? We don't know him." Because we can. Because we have the blessings to be able to show a little love to someone else. And he now has another $10 that he can use this week. Barb was an executive in New York. And as she walked down the street, she noticed an 11-year-old boy who was continually out, not in school, disheveled, dirty, looking hungry. And so one day she approached this little boy and says, "Are you hungry?" "Yes, ma'am." So she says, "Let me buy you some lunch." And so she goes and has lunch with this boy. Finds out that his father left when he was a child, when he was an infant. His mother is a crack addict. Sometimes he'll go days without food. Sometimes he goes home to a cold house because his mother has forgotten to pay the bills. So as they dine together, the friendship begins. And Barb gives him her card and says, "Call me when you get hungry." A week later, Barb receives a phone call. She and David go out to lunch. And this continues. It becomes like a weekly event where they go out for lunch. And a relationship builds between them. And it happens after a while, the calls get farther and farther apart. And eventually the calls stop altogether. Barb wonders what happens to David. Several years later, she gets a phone call. David has found her. He is married, has kids of his own. Invites her home to his home for dinner. Barb becomes a part of his family. David asks Barb, "Why would you do that to some kid on the street?" He said, "I saw a lot of me in you. My dad was cold and aloof. We didn't have much money. We struggled. But somebody shared with me, and I was hoping to do the same with you. I did, because I could." This week we come to the end of our stewardship series. Some of you are maybe going, "Yay." But we've looked at how stewardship is more than just money. Stewardship is a ministry in all of itself. It's several ministries. Stewardship is taking care of all the things that have been given to us by God to share with the world. It is a calling of love. Stewardship is a ministry of service to each other. It is a ministry of giving, not just of what we have, but of who we are and what we do. It is a ministry of thankfulness. We practice good stewardship because we're thankful for the gifts that have been bestowed upon us. But mostly stewardship is a ministry of love. It is taking all that we have and expressing the love that we have as Jesus commanded us to love God and to love each other. Stewardship is not the passing of the plates, the writing of the checks, so that the church can continue. It's not keeping the lights on in the building. It's not paying the salaries. Stewardship is a way of life. Stewardship does not take place on Sunday morning. It takes place with every breath. Everything we say, everything we do, everything we have. That's where stewardship comes into play. It is with that thought that I look to challenge you to have a focus on stewardship. What is it that we can do in our lives to integrate the ministry of stewardship into our lives? What talents do you have? We've talked about the spiritual gifts. What talents do you have? Do you have the gift to sing that you could join the choir? Do you have the gift of musical instruments that you could provide special music? Do you have the gift of being able to read and speak clearly and confidently that you could assist with the worship service? Do you have the gift of skilled hands that you could assist with things around the building that need repairs? Something as simple as the painting of walls to the repairing of walls. Do you have the gift of time that you could assist with the little things that go on, the letters to be folded and mailed out? To assist with writing articles for the messenger. And that's just a touch of what we have to offer. What are your gifts? What are your talents that you could give back? And not just here in these four walls, but to the world, to God's world. But then I also have to ask, from a financial standpoint, do you have the means that you could consider how you can cheerfully, lovingly, thankfully return to the Lord what He's given you? And if you don't, what other means could you provide? If you're getting older, is there the possibility of considering a gift to God's kingdom as God welcomes you home? When God welcomes you home? There are so many ways that we can give to God if we just open our minds to allow the possibility to do so. Because stewardship is a ministry of love. It is a ministry to love God with all our heart, strength, and mind. It is a ministry to love each other in the same fashion. As we move forward into Thanksgiving and Advent is only 3 weeks away, leading up towards Christmas. The joy we have of looking forward to the child. We don't get excited about the baby. Yeah, we always get excited about babies. But we get excited about the gift that is given to us. That's why we come to the table. To give thanks. To be thankful for God's mercy, God's forgiveness, and God's love. How can we take stewardship and incorporate it into our lives? That's what I want you to think about. Find ways that can be more a part of who you are, of what we do, and of all we have. For it is to God's glory that we do so.